What is up, football fans? Welcome back to another episode of Football Talk with Hawk here on a exciting Friday night. I hope the week was good. I hope you are ready for playoff atmosphere football to get us ready for the playoffs. I hope you don't buy in to some of the current thought process and lack of hype about this weekend. But before we jump into that, thank you so much for listening. If you're listening on Spotify, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. If you're on YouTube, thank you for stopping by. Please make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. I deeply appreciate it. So, week 18 in the NFL. It's actually turning out to be a little bit different than what we thought. We have got a lot of potential playoff matches being played. What do I mean by that? The Rams and the 49ers are a legitimate option. They could play each other in the playoffs. In fact, could play each other in the divisional round. The Steelers versus Ravens is actually a lot more viable than what you think. If the Jaguars lose and Denver wins, Pittsburgh could sneak in as the 7th seed. They could. They could sneak in as the 7th seed. So they'd have to win. They would have to win their wild card matchup, but then the divisional round would be against Baltimore. Miami and Buffalo. If the Steelers lose or the Raiders win, if Buffalo loses, they can still make the playoffs, but it would be as the 7th seed, and they would go to Miami the very next week. The very next week. It's really interesting how things ended up playing out. I've looked at a lot of the projections for the playoffs. Looked across CBS, Fox, Sports Illustrated, PFF. To me, it's amazing how many people are discounting the Cardinals this weekend. Now, I know the title of this video is Week 18 Preview, which is what I would normally do in my Friday night video. So that's what we're kind of going to do. But I really want to expand on what this weekend is going to show. So, for those of you who do not know, we're waiting for Black Monday. Now, Black Monday used to be an absolutely horrific day for coaches. Adam Schefter Well, no matter what your views on him are, whether he's a great insider or not, doesn't matter. He was on the Rich Eisen show, and he has maintained all year that we will see 7 to 10 openings after this season. The NFL averages 6.8 head coaching changes over the last, I believe it is 30 to 35 years. That's a lot of data. And that's a big trend to buck up against. Last year we had 5. And his view is very simple. He's going to play the numbers. Could it be less again? Absolutely. But we already have 3. We already have 3, and I think that's what people keep forgetting. So let's just go with what we believe we know. Washington's an automatic. That's 4. New England, maybe. Pittsburgh, maybe. New England should be. And most people agree New England should be. But here's a caveat that I want to make sure you guys are aware of. Teams cannot start talking to candidates till after the divisional round. They're trying to elongate the process. The NFL wanted to elongate the process. They wanted to lengthen it out by 7 to 10 days. Now, a lot of them are correct. I never liked the idea that they were interviewing coordinators who were getting ready for the biggest game of their career, the game they needed to win. There was a report that came out that Eric Bieniemy, the current offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders, would be the front runner to get the Falcon job should the Falcons move on from Arthur Smith. This makes this weekend huge for Arthur Smith. The loss last week in the snow, they're a dome team, I'll give them that, but the loss last week, the way they lost, wasn't pretty. And this week you have a Falcons versus Saints. Saints need the win badly. Saints need the win. Falcons need the win. The Buccaneers and the Panthers game is going to be watched because both of these games, as I told you, are going to be played at the exact same time in the exact same window on purpose, one on one network, one on the other. Everybody below Interstate 40 is going to be watching these 2 games because they get affected by each other. The Falcons could win the division. If they win the division, yes, I believe Arthur Smith is 1,000% safe and should be if he pulls out this road victory to end the year in New Orleans. But then, if he's safe I would then be looking at Todd Bowles potentially not being safe. Because that would be a bad collapse. You needed to win one of your final two. You lost at home to a division rival and you lost on the road to a division opponent. And you couldn't close it out. Dennis Allen with the Saints, I would say the same thing. If he loses at home to the Atlanta Falcons, even though I think last week everybody was impressed with him winning and beating Tampa Bay on the road, I think he is in big jeopardy. The entire NFC South would be below 500 then. 8-9, 3 teams at 8-9, and then the Panthers. So anybody who doesn't win that division has potential to get fired. The Buccaneers versus Panther game, I'm not going to lie, I'm betting the Panthers. I'm going to do the entire slate of games this weekend in my pick video tomorrow. I'm doing the entire slate of games because, number one, it's a lot of fun. Number two, look at the matchups we have. Carson Wentz versus Sam Darnold. It is not the Philadelphia Eagles versus the New York Jets. It's the Los Angeles Rams versus the San Francisco 49ers. I'm kind of excited to see what Sean McVay does with him. Kyron Williams has the week off. Cooper Kupp has the week off. McVay is going, I need these guys to win in Wild Card Weekend. The Rams are showing they don't want to just qualify for the playoffs. They believe they can win. The 49ers are making sure that they don't get a catastrophe injury that takes all their hopes out. I wouldn't play Purdy either. Do you remember last year? They played 4 quarterbacks in the doggone NFC Championship game. They were the better team. And then they had Josh Johnson coming in to play. Let's just be real here. They don't want their main quarterback getting hurt. So I can't fault them for benching Purdy. They should bench Trent Williams. They should bench Debo. They should bench CMC. Anybody that's got a nagging injury, give them 2 weeks off. I don't worry with players. I don't worry when you're hurt. I worry when you're healthy. Because I think you can practice hard and be ready to play even better than playing the game and risking injury. When you play the game, you're risking injury. Mentally, you're thinking about it. You're thinking about the ACL. You're thinking about the knee. You're thinking about the ankle. I absolutely 1,000% would bench everybody if I'm the 49ers. It is Super Bowl or bust for this team. You've gotten road hauled by the Ravens, road hauled by the Browns. But then you've smashed everybody else. So you have got a lot to prove right now that it's not, pun intended, fool's gold. Now, Cowboys. This is a hard one. Cowboys versus Commanders and the Eagles versus the Giants. Neither team can really bench their starters because playoff positioning is in such a flux. Philadelphia wants that home playoff game. They want the second seed. Dallas wants the second seed, wants a home playoff game. I believe it's their best shot at advancing in the playoffs because I don't trust the road Cowboys at all. And it's no matter who they play. For those of you that have been listening, you know I love the Falcons at home. The home Falcons are different than road Falcons. I think the home Falcons could beat a Cowboy team, especially if Tyron Smith is out. Calais Campbell would absolutely eat Bud Dupree, Zach Harrison. It's not a good matchup for the Cowboys at the Bucs either. Really, it's not. It's not a good matchup at all. So if you're the Cowboys, you're going into the Commander game wanting to win. Las Vegas has them favored by 13.5. On the road, in Washington, I'm definitely taking the Commanders on that one. If Jacoby Brissett was starting, I'd be 1,000%. I'm picking Washington to win. On Sunday, it's going to be ugly weather. Ugly weather. I don't see a high-scoring game. I don't see much happening. The snowstorm that is coming through is brutal. And it's going to be dumping snow into a stadium that is not that great. It's really bad. And the Northeast is going to get smashed. Now, with that being said, we've got two other games in the NFC North, the Packers and Bears, and the Vikings and Lions. The Packers need help to get in the playoffs. The Packers need to win and need the Seahawks to lose to the Cardinals. But once again, I'm going to say it's a young team. They played great last Sunday night against the Vikings, but the Vikings look like they've mailed it in. Just not even going to lie about it. Fields versus Love. Packers versus Bears. It matters. And do not just throw the Bears aside. That defense has been playing lights out. And honestly, it's the defense that I'm going to say could change the tide of that game. Could being the key word. The Vikings at the Lions, listen, Dan Campbell has told his guys, we're going to give ourselves the opportunity to still get the second seed. If Philadelphia loses, we get the second seed. If Dallas loses, we can get the second seed. We're in the first window. Let's win. Let's make them win to get what they want. The Lions are a dangerous team if they get that second seed. Because then the only road game they're going to be playing is the 49ers. The only road game would then be the 49ers. And I've said this all year. If they were home, I was really hoping they'd be able to get that number one seed. The loss to the Packers on Thanksgiving hurt them. The loss to the Bears afterwards hurt them. Two losses that definitely shouldn't have happened, but it's division games, so you got to give it a little bit. Division games. But I'll tell you what, I don't want to play Detroit in Detroit. And either the Saints, the Bucks, the Seahawks, or the Packers are going to have to play them in Detroit, wild card weekend. And I'm picking Detroit. The Seahawks at Cardinal game, I'm picking the Cardinals. I've said this. I love this Cardinal pick. I love this Cardinal pick. I don't know why more people aren't jumping on it. Kyler Murray at home. He just beat Philadelphia. The team's got a little bit of belief. The team has got a bunch of draft capital. If they're going to let Gannon do this, then by all means, the ownership needs to come out and say, it's Gannon's team and we're rolling with them. Let's go see what we can do. That's what they need to do then. It's Gannon's team. We're rolling with them. Let's go see what we can do. Just come out full force behind your coach. You got a lot of picks. You got a lot of potential. Come out behind them and say it. You got the Jacksonville at Tennessee game. Listen, Trevor Lawrence is still banged up. I do foresee an option where Jacksonville loses. I see that as a potential thing happening. I do. Because it's a division game. They're on the road. It's going to be potentially windy. Not sure how much weather is going to be in Nashville. But the thing about the games against the Browns and the Bucks, Trevor Lawrence couldn't get enough oomph behind his throws. That was the struggle. That's going to be the struggle potentially in weather. That's not good. That's not good. They benched him last week. It may have been too late. It may have been too late. But that game matters to a lot of teams. Then you've got the epic battle between Blaine Gabbert and Easton Stick. The Chiefs versus the Chargers, of which the Chargers are now favored. That's how little faith Las Vegas has in the Chiefs. Mahomes is out. They're going on the road to play the Chargers. And they're now underdogs. Kansas City's position is firm. Kansas City's position is firm. They're going to be the 3 seed. So it makes sense not to get Patrick Mahomes hurt. It makes sense to rest Travis Kelce, Pacheco, because looking ahead, and this is, yes, I know this is skipping a week, but honestly, looking ahead to the potential matchup with Miami, listen, I'm picking Miami over Kansas City all day long. I'm picking the Dolphins on the road because their receivers can catch. I looked at the entire grouping of playoff teams, of who you would believe could go into Kansas City, go into Arrowhead, and beat the Chiefs. Okay? Of the potential teams, the Steelers, the Bills, the Colts, the Texans, the Jags, the Browns. When you look at everything with the Dolphins, everything else, what team do you believe can't beat them in Arrowhead? I believe the Texans could smoke them. CJ Stroud, screen passes, Tank Dell's faster than what that secondary really is. Kansas City isn't bad on the defensive side of the ball, isn't bad in the secondary, but not great. If Chris Jones is held in check, the rest of the team is kind of held in check. The Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence is banged up. That's really all you're thinking about, because you know that after their first meeting, they're going to look at it and go, we missed a lot of opportunities. I watched that Chiefs-Jaguar game earlier in the year. Chiefs only scored 17 points. Jacksonville should have won. They weren't taking the dump-offs. Take the level routes. Take the dump-offs. Give it to your tight end. Jacksonville could go into Arrowhead and win. Cleveland absolutely could go into Arrowhead and win. Texans could go into Arrowhead and win. Bills, we know, can go into Arrowhead and win. I believe the Dolphins could go into Arrowhead and win. So what about the other two that are sitting there right on the edge? The Colts and the Steelers. Could the Colts go into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs? This is what I came up with. The best way to help your secondary is to play a team that can't catch the football. Yeah. That's what I came up with. The best way to help your secondary is to play a team that can't catch the football. I think the Colts could beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead. The Colts secondary absolutely sucks right now. But the Chiefs receivers can't catch the ball. And Patrick Mahomes doesn't trust his tackles, of which the Colts would be able to pressure, because if they lined everybody up, they could put DeForest Buckner on a lot of stunts to those tackle sides, and Kwity Paye is a very formidable end, and there would be pressure really quick. The Colts could beat them. It'd be a old-fashioned, 10-9 game, probably. It'd be a slugfest. You'd probably be bored, but they could do it. The Steelers. Oh my, are you kidding me? TJ Watt would be like, he would have Patrick Mahomes in his grill because he ran over him so much. He'd be permanently indented. The only question is the offense strong enough to get the points needed to beat them? Probably. The Chiefs are beatable. When you don't have a receiving core, and they're going to have to take a long, hard look this offseason at that. I'm sorry, Chris Jones has got to go. Rashee Rice is good. I really like Rashee Rice. I would draft another receiver in the draft because they need help badly. Pacheco's good. Late rounds, I draft another tight end to go behind Kelsey. I think you really have to look at what's there. But Kansas City looks 100% beatable. And I know there's going to be those people, never overlook the big dog when he's injured. Listen, you can't catch the football. You can't catch the football. The Bengals let them off the hook. I didn't like the play calling in the second half for the Bengals. I didn't like what they reverted to. They had the Chiefs down. They had everything set up. I didn't like where they went with everything. I thought it was bad. Just straight up honest. I thought it was bad. So this weekend's games, let's run down the quarterback matchups. Okay? On Saturday, we have Mason Rudolph versus Tyler Huntley. Which, by the way, Huntley could pull out a win. Just FYI. He's not bad. And the Ravens are home. And it's a weather game. And the Ravens defense is still really good. So there's no Vegas widened the margin and put the line really big after Lamar went out. It's dropped back down. And rightfully so. I'll still take Baltimore's defense. Then you have C.J. Stroud versus Gardner Minshew. And to everybody that is in Colts Nation, and even some of the Texan fans that really wish this was a C.J. Stroud versus Anthony Richardson matchup, I fully agree. I fully agree. And if Shane Steichen is going to keep doing purposeful runs with Anthony Richardson and getting him injured, well, we just need to run Steichen out of town before he can hurt our quarterback anymore. Richardson is not that runner. Our offense needs to be better than that without him having to run purposely. So those are your two quarterback matchups on Saturday. Sunday, Baker Mayfield against Bryce Young. Taylor Heineke versus Derek Carr. Justin Fields versus Jordan Love. I like this one. I would keep Justin Fields. I know what the data says. I do. I know what the data says. But I think you saw this year Justin Fields finally starting to feel like he can be the guy. Do I think a change of scenery would be good for him? Yeah, I do. And I don't think I think he's still one of the top 30 quarterbacks in the league. I do. And that's even after we get the 5 new ones in the NFL draft in April. I think he's still one of the top 30 quarterbacks in the league. He deserves a starting spot. He deserves a starting quarterback position. He works for multiple teams. He needs a run game. He needs some receivers. He's got them. And if you're Chicago and you can go get Marvin Harrison Jr. out of this, and have Marvin Harrison Jr. and DJ Moore draft Travion Henderson in the second round, looking pretty good. Not going to lie, I like that team. So I do hope there is an aspect of this. Justin Fields versus Jordan Love would be great if they could both stay, both continue to improve, and have their matchups being a young quarterback duo. Then we have Nick Mullins versus Jared Goff. Goff's going to win, hands down, no contest. All right, next, here we go. Then you've got Trevor Lawrence versus most likely Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill's lost it. Don't really foresee much happening outside of that. Then you have Jeff Driscoll for Cleveland against Jake Browning for Cincinnati. So help me, if Driscoll wins, it'll be the fifth quarterback to start and win a game for the Browns this year. Kevin Stefanski's a flippin' genius. You got Trevor Siemian versus Bailey Zappi, and what most of us assume is Bill Belichick's final game as a Patriot head coach. Jalen Hurts versus Tyrod Taylor. That's not an easy game. Don't forget, Tyrod Taylor, just a week and a half ago, on Christmas Day, almost brought the Giants back on the road. The Giants are now home in New York. Weather, the secondary for the Eagles is a bunch of trash cans. It's just bad. Look out for the Giants. And look out for where Philly ends up having to play round one in the playoffs. All right, the next matchup would be Dak Prescott against Sam Howell. We know this isn't going to be the case next year. Washington's going to draft their QB, and they should. I believe the Giants do as well. Here's a little tidbit. For those of you who are wondering why the Giants would draft a QB when Daniel Jones is under contract, they can get out of Daniel Jones' contract in the summer next year. And their dead cap hit is only for one season. And that one season is $22.5 million. And if they have a rookie quarterback on the roster and Daniel Jones dead cap, and then have the veteran minimum, whether it's Tyrod Taylor or whoever, as the actual backup, they would still be underneath $40 million for the quarterback position by itself for that one season. So technically for the next 2 years. That's a very, very viable option. Daniel Jones is probably not going to start again unless something happens to the rookie quarterback that Brian Daboll drafts. Just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there. So, because of it, then you've got Blaine Gabbert at Easton Slick. That's going to be a banger of a game. Not going to lie, I'm actually kind of excited for it. I really do. It's one of those games where I'm like, it's in LA. You can't knock the football game. It's at SoFi. Like, come on. And you got Jarrett Stidham against Aiden O'Connell. Broncos versus the Raiders in Las Vegas. My guess is Antonio Pierce will cement himself. The stars of the Raiders have been very vocal about wanting Antonio Pierce as their head coach. Very vocal this week. If you've been listening to the show, you know that I fully agree he deserves the opportunity. 1,000% deserves the opportunity. You got Josh Allen versus Tua Tagovailoa on Sunday Night Football. Geno Smith versus Kyler Murray. Carson Wentz versus Sam Darnold. It's a very, very interesting and intriguing week. There's a lot of games where the playoff spots are up for grabs, guys. Positioning is up for grabs. Yeah, the Rams could actually drop to the 7th seed. Just FYI. They could. If they lose and Green Bay wins and Seattle loses, the Rams drop to the 7th seed. Now, not going to lie, that could be the best thing in the world for those of us that don't want to see the Cowboys make it anywhere, because then they would play the Cowboys. And the exact team that the Cowboys don't want to see is one that can control the line of scrimmage, throw the football, and run the ball. Because everybody has shown if you run on Dallas, you can beat Dallas. Very clear. You run on Dallas, you can beat them. Very obvious and very clear. So this week is not a dud. Yes, we've got a bunch of backup quarterbacks. Yes, we got a bunch of really weird matchups. Yes, some of it doesn't make sense. Yet even the games with backup quarterbacks are determining playoff positioning. So no matter what, the game still matters. Meaningful football, 13 of the 16 games, have a potential playoff outcome attached to it. Both Saturday games, huge playoff potential. The only games that I believe, if I'm correct, and this is really, I'm not really sure, I believe the only games that have no playoff implications, whether strength of schedule changes or anything else, from them is Cleveland versus Cincinnati, Kansas City versus the Chargers. That's 2. Oh, and the Jets versus the Patriots. Those are the only 3 games that do not affect anything else. Strength of schedule, positioning, tiebreakers are affected in 13 games. The other 13, including the ones that have the backup quarterbacks. Meaningful football in Week 18 is what the NFL wanted. They've gotten it back-to-back years. They've done it right. Week 18 has been a success. I love it. I look forward to it. I love the additional team in the playoffs. 12 was great. 14 just kind of makes it that much better, especially with the 1 seed now being the main coveted seed. I like the 1 seed being the only coveted seed. It's a fight for number 1, and then it's a fight to be able to not have to play number 1 until the AFC Championship. That's what it is. So I like it. I really do. All right, guys. That's week 18 in a 50-minute nutshell. That is what we're looking at. Black Monday is going to happen afterwards. You guys are going to have my picks before Saturday. I'm not going to have a Sunday morning one. You're going to have my picks because I am doing the entire 16-game slate this weekend. Going to have some fun with it. But don't get down or get sucked into some of this thought process that, oh, the games are going to be horrible because it's backups. They don't matter. Oh, no. They matter. They matter enough for positioning. It matters where you got to go and who you got to play and who you're going to play if you win. Remember, if the Rams are 7th, let's just say the Rams get 7th, the Cowboys win, the Rams go into Dallas, beat the Cowboys, they got to go to San Francisco the next week. The number 1 seed plays the lowest seed out of wild card weekend. Period. The lowest winning seed is the seed that they play out of wild card weekend. So you've got to be looking at the fact that, okay, but we got to go to San Francisco right away. Listen, I don't want to. I'd much rather be the 6th seed and hope that the 7th seed can beat Dallas. We know Seattle got close. Can they finish it off this time? We don't know. Could the Packers? I don't think so. I really don't. I don't think so. I don't think the Saints could either. I really think the Rams are set up to beat them right now. But don't buy into this kind of downer mentality about this weekend. It's not a downer. The games matter. But having your stars for the playoffs also matter. And it's business, reality. It's just colliding together. That's all it is. That's all it is. You got to have players to be able to play football. All right, guys. That is it for this episode. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great Friday night. I'll be back tomorrow with my picks for the entire week. But until then, this has been Football Talk with Hawk. I'm Hawk, and I'm out.